Kent, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to drive down here and do this with me. And yeah, I'm just excited to. Well, first of all, this is the first one back, so I'm super excited to get into this one because of what you've done in the past week or last weekend. So yeah, look, just thank you so much for taking the time out of your day.
That's my pleasure. Thanks for having me. And it's an honor to be the first of 2022.
No problem at all. So look, let's just get straight into it because, you know, we've got roughly an hour and there is a lot to go over. Yep. So last weekend, you are now the world record holder. Are you?
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, you're the world record holder for an Everest-man. So if you want to just discuss or just go through what that is, and then we can go back in time a bit and get some context as to who you are and why you did it.
Yep. So an Everest-man is basically kind of based off an Everesting cycling or running challenge. So you need to accumulate that 8,848 meters of elevation that you need to do for an Everesting challenge. But you have to do that in all three disciplines of an Ironman or a triathlon. So basically the swim, followed by the bike, and then the run. So obviously you can't do the elevation and swim, so you just swim 8,848 meters. Mm-hmm. And then basically you just do an Everesting challenge on the bike and then followed by the run.
And altogether that took 40.
I'm fairly certain it took exactly 40 hours. Not 1 minute more, not 1 minute less.
And the record before that was
71 hours.
So yeah, you smashed it. So I guess in the next coming years, people are going to catch on to this. And
definitely,
it's going to become the new thing. So with that, we can start off with why. Like what makes someone such as yourself do something like this? Because that it's not so much. You know, you can do an Ironman and whatnot, and you can do an ultra marathon, but something so extreme to these lengths. What's the why behind it? Well,
for me now, I guess the journey that I've been on for the last 2 years has led me to this point where something like an Everest-man does not seem like too big of a challenge. So I guess it's all just perspective on, you know, where you're at the point at that time where what you think is difficult to you. But I initially did this basically as a way to kind of promote the fact that anything is possible. You know, like 2 years ago, I would have never thought that I could even swim 9K and definitely not do an Everestman in 40 hours. You know, we built up this community, and also I've got a few other things coming up in the near future. So I just thought it was just the perfect opportunity to kind of prove to others and also to prove to myself that, you know, what my journey up until now has, you know, got me to a point where I just know that anything is possible.
Because, you know, I think going into this a bit more, the mental aspect of a challenge like that, you really need to want it. Like, it's not like, oh, I'm going to do it. Like, you really, it's a need. You can't just go blasé into it, going willy-nilly. Like, from when I spoke to you last week, you were going to, like, you had already finished. It was already made up in your head. No matter what happened, you were finishing. And, you know, do you think that would stem from, as we'll get into, you know, your early life with your dad and the hospitality industry? Well, why don't we go backwards and start with that? Like, you were in hospitality. And through that, of course, you know, you work hard, you play harder.
A lot of bad habits.
Yeah, and that's where I want to go with that. And then we can come back to, you know, is there a correlation between the hardworking side, and even Japanese? You know, is there a correlation between that and what you're doing now? So yeah, like let's start off with that. With your early life, like when you started, when did you start knowing that you were a hard worker in that sense?
I guess my dad being Japanese and living a very typical Japanese male working life, they're all about hard work.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I did take the good things out of that. There's definitely a lot of bad things, but they did work hard. So I did try to embody that kind of value within my personal life, and it definitely did reflect in my work ethic, and definitely.
Yeah, like in hospitality, when especially with hospitality, and I've had other hospitality guests on, it's late nights, maybe early mornings, depending if you're on a bender or not.
Yeah.
And that becomes a lifestyle, a toxic lifestyle. And when you say, you said just before, 2 years ago, you were smoking, drinking.
Yeah. I quit smoking 4 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So even in that 4 years, your athletic life.
Yeah.
How when I say athletic life, when did you start running, or when did you start cycling?
I actually looked it up on Strava yesterday. On Saturday, and I first logged my first run on Strava 3.5 years ago. And so I was probably running for like maybe a couple months before that.
Yeah.
So let's just say like 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just to be safe.
So just for the listeners out there, you can turn your entire life around in 4 years, but you really need to want it. You need to change your life, essentially.
Yeah.
Which
it's hard.
Oh, fucking everything, man.
Otherwise, everyone would do it.
Exactly. And, this is a main theme that keeps coming up and reoccurring on this podcast is, especially in this social media age where everything is in front of you and everything's easy.
Comfort.
Everyone's comfortable and, comfortably dumb. Like, we all want to change, but who wants to put in that work? Who wants to put in the effort?
Yeah.
And again, you look at these people and, if you're partying on the weekends every weekend and you're happy doing that, do it. But you can't complain about it anymore. If you start complaining and not changing anything, that's where the issue lies. And, I see it a lot and, you're crazy for running 100K. I'm like, you're crazy not to do,
What's crazier, doing it or not doing it?
Yeah, and who wants to put in the effort of training? Who wants to put in the, in your case, 20 odd hours, 28?
Yeah, 22.
22 hours of training each week, upwards of, 2 to 4 hours a day of training.
Yeah.
Or more. Who wants to do that? No one wants to. And that's where this, again, it's not a want or anything. You need to have that drive and you need to want to change your life. Yeah. For such a drastic change in 4 years to do what you're doing.
It's not even just with exercise. Like if you want to build a career, you want to learn something. It doesn't matter if it's exercise, it's different areas of your life. You have to put in the work to be able to make change and positive change.
Oh,
so
yeah. And it's not just you're doing it for yourself, but you're also doing it for other people. So there's a bit of altruism in that sense that, I've noticed that you've put, and you've even said it yourself, that you've put your own needs behind and, you've put everybody else, especially with Rebound Club, which we'll get into.
I'd say I just use, a lot of the challenges I do are very selfish in regards to it's just me.
Yeah.
But I'm basically just using myself as the vehicle to kind of convey my message.
The old saying is to be selfless, you've got to be selfish. Yeah. So you putting in the hours of training and working on yourself then transitions into you being a better person.
Yeah.
Because, you're being a better person because you worked on yourself, and there's this cycle that continues and continues.
Yeah.
So people go, you're selfish and you're going away and doing these events and whatnot, or it's like, well, you're a better person for it. And because of that, you're making the world a better place.
Definitely.
By being selfish. So, no, again, props to you for that. Like, it's just a really long day out. Like, you did it.
It's a massive day.
It's 40 hours, man. But
the thing I remind myself is that it's like anything, you know. Remember the last time you went on a holiday? When you're in the holiday, it seems like you got so much time. But once it finishes, it just feels like it just finished just like this. So if you remind yourself while you're doing this, I know it's going to be 40 hours. Well, at the time, I didn't know if it was going to be 40 hours or 50 hours or not even finish it. But if you just remind yourself that
it will pass.
It will pass.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. And I think that's a huge takeaway that, you know, people need to listen to, that, you know, when you're in the shit of life or you know, study or anything, that, you know, it's just a small fraction of your entire day.
Definitely.
You know, there's this guy named Sam Weir who's mega ultra run, like 500K, huge.
Yeah.
He has one where I asked him, he did Badwater 135, and I asked him, you know, how do you get through something like that? And, you know, his reply was, it's going to finish it eventually. Yeah. And once you have that in your head, he said it's unstoppable. Yeah. You're unstoppable. You get through that pain, and that's something I want to get into eventually. You know, the pain and the hurt that you went through, but you know, it ends. It will eventually end, but right now you're in it. Finish it. Yeah. So to pivot this, you know, we've spoken over the past, you know, since last year, just to try to get this up and running. Now, you are no stranger to sort of, you know, I'm not going to say it could have been trauma, but, you know, not recent. Was it recently you lost your dad?
Yeah.
And
almost 2 years ago.
Okay. Yeah. So, you know, 2 years ago you lost your dad. You're the guy.
Yeah.
Your number one, your hero, your idol.
Yeah.
And then after that, you watched your grandma take her last breath.
Yeah.
So if you want to, you know, because I think the audience has been with the podcast enough to connect the dots here. What happened? How does that affect you? Because you can see, you know, it steps up, and then you start doing this for other people.
Yeah.
So how did that all play out for you?
Well, I guess before my dad passed away, you know, I had an awesome life. You know, the businesses were doing great. I had my dad back, so I didn't actually see my dad. My parents are separated. Yeah. And my dad lived in Japan for, you know, most of my adulthood or my teenagehood. So him to move back to Australia and to set up a business with me was, you know, my life. Like, that was what I wanted to do. You know, he was in hospitality. We opened up a restaurant together. Everything was great. And then one morning, you just, you know, after coming back from a meeting with a business partner, discussing potentially opening up another restaurant, and then you basically just see him lifeless.
Wait, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Walking into your house, looking into his room, and you're thinking, like, it's 9:30 in the morning. Like, this guy's awake at like 4 a.m. doing like some weird things. Like, this is not normal. And then so I threw a towel at him, and I was like, wake up.
Oh, fuck.
And I guess it's just that shock, you know, in a moment, in just 1 second, everything that your life revolved around, everything that you were so grateful for, and everything that your future was going to be, was just taken away in a second. Yeah. And, you know, you always see it on movies, like, how can this be happening to me? How can this be happening to me? That's all that I was thinking about.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I just thought he passed away. I didn't know that was.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry that you had to.
Yeah. Thank you.
Go through that. I don't think anyone has. No one. Again, I think it's all character building. And that's all well and good and all, la-di-da. But no one deserves to go through that.
Yeah.
But, to what you're doing now just goes to show who you are.
Yeah. I just feel like everything in my life has happened for a reason, especially in the last couple of years. And I think I needed to see that.
That's a really good way.
And I guess as long as, you're kind of thinking as a half glass full kind of guy, you can always find a reason and a purpose for why even something as fucked up as this was just meant to be.
That's a really, really good way of looking at it. Like, oh man, I don't even know what I'd do.
I've never seen a dead body before. Like, I've never, I rarely go to the hospital.
Yeah.
Like, none of my family members at the time were sick. And just we live in such a life where, all of this is just what we see on reality TV shows and on Netflix,
How is it happening?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then for once, I'm that person in the movie.
Shit.
Yeah.
And that's not the first one.
Yeah.
So your grandmother passed away as well.
Yeah. So like all that kind of happened. And because I was basically my dad's carer, I had to handle all of that, all of the aftermath, which is fine. And then I'd say probably 3 months after, my grandma had been sick all year, and she had been diagnosed with colon cancer and it basically spread. And she got admitted to hospital for like the third or fourth time. And this time it was, there's no going back. She was basically just in that state where you're basically just waiting for her to take her last breath. And so my granddad and my mum and my auntie and my uncle were basically like, well, we just always want to have, every night until she does pass, we want someone to stay there in the hospital. And I offered. I was like, it's very distressing. I'd like to stay there. And so I stayed there one night. Everything was fine. And then a few days later, I offered again. And literally just setting up camp, had my computer open, eating some popcorn. Everything's good. She's comfortable. And then, just her breaths just started to become faint, and just basically just watched her take her last breath.
Now, like, again, there's got to be some sort of, like, I don't know, being Japanese for me, my mum's been very spiritual and, going through that spiritual, when I was a kid, I went through some hectic spiritual awakening. And it's not like a God and Jesus thing, religion and spirituality are completely different things. But, did you find there was some sort of spiritual connection? Like you watched her take her last breath. It wasn't like a violent death or anything. It was just was it like a gentle?
Just a gentle,
and then nothing.
Nothing.
Fuck. And do you like, again, with being spiritual, do you think they're up there, or you have some sort of guardian angel or them or anything like that?
Yeah, I definitely do. There's a few things that happened after my dad passed where he was definitely there.
100%.
On multiple occasions.
Yeah.
Multiple occasions.
And what were they like?
Just like getting off. I took his ashes basically on a holiday that we always planned to go on after I returned him back to Japan. And we stepped off the bullet train at Kyoto Station, and went to the cafe, just a random old cafe. And the song that played at his funeral started playing straight away. It's like divine synchronicity.
Yeah. There's no way you can possibly explain that.
Yeah. And there's countless other occurrences that happened. And, after that, he was definitely there. And he's probably still there.
Oh, no, it's just, you don't go, like, some people can, but you don't. That doesn't happen to someone twice for no reason.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't call it fate. I just call it life doing life. But there is something, that to set you up for bigger things.
Yeah.
To set you up for, in a way, you could say it was trauma or not trauma, but to go through something like that, to walk in on your dad, to watch your grandmother take her last breath.
Yep.
That's got to take a toll. Not, I wouldn't say a toll, but as you said, you felt like you needed to see that and be a part of that. Now that's where I ask is, do you think in one way or another that has sort of helped you with something like an Everest-man or something like that? Do you feel his presence, or do you feel their presence? Do you feel something there?
No, not so much in a spiritual sense.
Yeah.
But I believe that by witnessing what I have witnessed and seeing what I have with my own eyes, it was definitely a really harsh reality check. That one day we are all going to be in that position where someone else is going to be watching us take our last breath.
And it could be like,
could be tomorrow, could be now. Yeah.
I had this conversation. I get super teary when it comes to my family.
Yeah.
And this is a past podcast, but I pretty much, Dad passed away at the finish line of an Ironman.
Yeah.
And they revived him, but he was on, he was in hospital.
Yeah.
Couldn't remember me. And it was stuff like that where it happened a few times where I went, it's so fleeting. Like in the grand scheme of the universe, in the grand scheme of everything that's going on, it is so quick.
Yeah.
And watching, my kids grow up and going like, that could be me next. At one moment I'm here, next moment they never. I don't even know that I've died.
Yeah.
Or no one knows that they've died.
You won't know.
But everybody else does, and it just gets me. And when they say, you hear the cliche like, live life like it's your last day on earth.
YOLO.
Yeah, you only live once, and it's like, no, that's actually that's the truth. Yeah. Because until it comes to that, that movie scene that you got put in, that this can't be happening to me. You just don't know. But but you did it, and now look at what you're doing with, this is where we can get into, Rebound Club. Yeah. So like to change gears here, with Rebound Club, what does that represent? So Rebound Club is a run club based out of Brisbane.
I guess it's not so much just a run club. I guess we use running to kind of build the community.
That's the modality of
it.
Yeah.
But it was basically just a way for me to kind of promote exercise. And it wasn't necessarily just running, because I was always kind of triathlon based. But I guess running is a lot more accessible to people. But it's basically just a platform that we kind of built to promote exercise for better mental and physical well-being, and to really just build, like a positive community, just of legends.
And now going back, how did you even get into exercise? So you've gone through all this. Yep. I'm going to call it just trauma, blunt force trauma. Yeah. At what point, you quit smoking? The typical Japanese workman lifestyle isn't for you anymore. Yep. And where do you go? Okay, I want to do an Ironman. Where do you start off in small steps?
Yeah. So when my dad passed away, I actually, thanks to a good friend of mine, he actually got me back into running. And thankfully, when my dad passed away, I was training for my first marathon. So I did 2 half marathons before that. And basically, I just wanted to get healthy. Like, I'd traveled overseas quite often for work, and eating and drinking and hospitality life. I just remember getting back to Brisbane, or just being on that flight back from Asia, and just seeing how big my gut got. And I was like, man, I need to make a change. Like, I can't continue this. Got off the flight and just went for a run. It was summer, almost vomited, did 5Ks I think, and almost gave up.
Just that for me in my head, I'm thinking this whole transition, because I know what it's like with the drinking and the partying and that lifestyle, and then to just do what you fucking did last weekend. It just blows. It's mind blowing. Again, it's just another story that people can connect to. Like, you can fucking do it.
I used to smoke 20 cigarettes a day. And drink all the time. That was my life. Party,
drugs.
everything.
and then early mornings,
Yeah.
like really
Just
early
no
mornings.
sleep.
Yeah, no sleep.
Yeah.
Keep working.
Yeah.
And so you vomit on this 5K or
Yep.
whatnot, and then
I just kept running basically.
and it was just something that it just sort of, it wasn't even a thought. It was just keep doing.
Just keep doing it. And luckily I had a friend who was running at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And running with him really helped to kind of make it a habit. So,
Mm-hmm.
it takes a while to form a habit, but once you do, it's pretty easy to kind of it's just like autonomous.
Yeah.
And then once that happened, he basically convinced me to do my first half marathon.
Mm-hmm.
And before that, I was doing 5, 10K runs.
Yeah.
But I was pretty fast. Like I wasn't slow. I definitely wasn't super fast, but there was a bit of talent or ability, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Back in school, I was always doing sports, like
Mm-hmm.
any sports, it didn't matter what it was. I was always getting out there, but never really great at anything,
Yep.
okay at everything, but never good or great.
Jack of all trades.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
But yeah, luckily when my dad passed away, I was training for this marathon, and I guess the training and just having that goal to look forward to really just made sure that, I wasn't kind of dwelling too much in the past and, what happened.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like it was a positive coping mechanism, basically. So, I do have that to thank for with exercise, because without having that goal and having that marathon to train for and to work towards, like who knows what I'll be doing.
That's what I was thinking.
I could be drinking. Well, I did go through a rough period where I was drinking at the same time, and it's hard. Like you need to kind of let it out.
Yeah,
Definitely
100%. And imagine if you didn't. Again, what you just said. Imagine if you didn't have a marathon or any running to look forward to.
Yeah.
There's that other path
Definitely.
that could have led you to oblivion.
Yeah. Well, I was so lost. Everything that I was living for was just taken away. Taken away.
And how do you for the listeners? What's something you can give the listeners? Like you experienced that firsthand, and from my experience with this podcast, there are a lot of people, because people might put you on a pedestal and say, "Wow, Kent, you're amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You've done this," but you're no different to you, to me, to any of these guys.
Yeah.
And I think that's why a lot of people like the podcast, because it's like that. It's not, I don't want people to be put on a pedestal. I want people like you and me talking real.
Yeah.
And there are people out there who are going through that plus extra.
Yeah.
So what is something you can quickly give them to ease the pain of what you went through and what they could be potentially going through?
The reason I created Rebound Club, was to kind of promote exercise in the way that, and try to show people how to make a positive change without having to experience what I did. Mm-hmm. And so I guess, I guess the cost of doing nothing is far greater than taking a risk and trying to push yourself. Mm-hmm. And I just know how much empowerment and confidence that you can get through exercise, as, try to overcome a challenge, doing more difficult things is the best way to gain the most valuable life lessons. It makes you stronger. And so when you do encounter these kind of setbacks, or like, your dad passes away, or, some fucked up shit happens in your life, you're more prepared.
Boom.
And
that's really
I guess exercise is just that vehicle, and it's so easy. Like there's so many options, whether you like running,
again, it doesn't have to be
running.
running.
You could be reading books. Like it doesn't matter. But challenging yourself and trying to set something that you think you can't achieve, and the feelings and the empowerment and everything that comes with it, just creates a lot of mental discipline. And that's something that unfortunately right now in this comfortable society we live in, is that people don't get out there and challenge themselves. They don't think they're capable of it.
And I think that just comes back down to the algorithm of Instagram or Facebook. They tell you, you're not good enough. Yeah. You're not good enough. And again, that's a whole different podcast. But I think, in this day and age, it's easy.
Yeah.
It's easy to, look at other people's photos and go, oh, they've done this, live vicariously through someone else.
Yeah.
But
it's funny though, because the same social media platforms can also, depending on what you follow and what your interests are, there are valuable
100%.
lessons. There's people that are inspiration. It just depends what you kind of,
and like it's its own beast. It is seriously its own beast, and it can be used for good and used for bad. But with how, I think it's with any corporation business such as Instagram, Facebook, or Coca-Cola, or any fast food. They want it to be easy, and they want you to be less than. And if you're less than, then you're easier to manipulate and make you feel worse or whatnot. But yeah, no, I think what you just said, that's really, really good. And, for all the people out there that are going through the shit right now, just keep going. Just keep pushing through, because as, we said it, I think we weren't even recording at the time.
Yeah.
But, it will pass. It will pass, and you guys will get through it. But yeah, look, we can move past that. I really like that. That was really, really nice.
Oh, thanks, man.
So you've done the half marathon. You've got an ability for running, as such. I've just got two things here. How fast was your first marathon? If you remember.
First marathon?
Yeah, marathon.
Yeah. So the one that I was training for, that was my first one when my dad passed away.
Yeah.
I did 3 hours and 9 minutes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Your first.
Yeah.
3:09 for your first marathon.
Yeah. But at the same time, I was training around 100 to 120 Ks a week.
Oh, but like that's fast.
Yeah.
And then, I've got here that you did sub 250.
Yep. I did as last year, I think maybe October or September. Because every marathon, every race got cancelled. So I was like, fuck it. We all trained for the Gold Coast Marathon. It got cancelled. Sunshine Coast Marathon got postponed. I was like, okay, well, fuck it. I'm just going to do a solo time trial. See what I can do. So I had a few guys from the community kind of helping me on bikes and stuff like that. We had speaker. It was awesome morning. And I did 245.
What's that pace? That's
355.
That's
kilometer.
so fast.
Yeah.
Like only November last year.
Yep.
Cracked sub. I did sub 20, and me holding 352.
Yep.
Was like hurt. Just for a K, and you did that 42.2 consecutive, or roughly.
But that was, I guess, when I did that first marathon and I did 3 hours and 9 minutes. Even that, I was like, well, that was I sent it. Like I couldn't have gone any faster. I couldn't walk for 3 days.
Fuck.
But then to think 2 years later, I was doing so to do the 3 hours and 9 minutes, I think it was around 4:30 pace.
Yeah.
So I was doing 2 years later, it was 35 seconds faster per K.
And this is the thing, people people think an overnight success is that.
Yeah.
People don't see the hours and hours and hours in the training room.
You see, it's just like an iceberg. Everyone only sees the top.
They see the result. They don't see the 5 a.m. runs and you getting at it when everyone's sleeping.
Yeah.
Again, everything in this day and age right now is to be easy. Yeah. Everyone just be comfortable. Yeah. Now moving to when did you find all three disciplines? When was that pivoting point for you?
Sorry.
Oh no, like when did you go? Okay, triathlons.
Yeah.
And then go Ironman.
Well, it kind of just came to me. So after that Gold Coast Marathon, the first one, I sent it a bit too hard. Like my training, like I just found this really, really advanced marathon training plan online.
Yeah.
And just followed it. Like I had no idea.
You didn't have a coach or anything. You just thought, cool.
Just a training plan.
Yeah.
And I was doing too much.
Mm-hmm.
And basically after the marathon, I was so stoked that I wanted to try and do a sub 3-hour marathon straight after. So I wanted to train for the Melbourne Marathon, which was like 8 weeks after. And I kept running. I had like a week off, and I didn't know you had to take like 2 weeks off, or I didn't know. I was just so pumped, like all that empowerment and everything that happened, and dedicated to my dad. Like it was such a massive thing for me. And I continued to train, and then my shin started to hurt. Classic. Just started icing it. Thought it was just something minute that it'd be over in a week. But it was a stress reaction. So just before the stage of getting a stress fracture, and so I couldn't run for like 6 to 8 weeks. I was like, damn. Like that sucks.
Everything that it seems like everything that has happened to you, like that's supposed to have a negative impact, implications in your life, seems to have happened. I know what the next thing for you is, but everything that's supposed to be negative in your life has actually been, a silver lining, like a positive
everything
experience. Yeah, no, it's cool. Okay, so I'm guessing you couldn't run, and then you found the bike.
Yeah. So that same person who got me back into running and introduced me to Strava, he had 2 bikes. And he was like, hey, why don't you just take this bike and just see what you reckon? Like, go for a few rides and see if you like it. Took the bike out, straight after. So with a stress fracture or stress reaction, you can still ride, you can still do a lot of things. So very grateful for that. Rode it up Mount Cootha, and I was like, damn, I like this. I really like this.
I can see where it's all just coming together.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so just for everyone, Mount Cootha is the hill that Kent rode up for 12 hours?
12 and a half hours,
Okay, up and down to get the elevation gain. Cool.
So just started riding, was really into it, and that friend, and also just to let you know, this friend only really appeared 6 months before that. I met him at a restaurant opening, and we started talking about running, and he was like, oh, what app do you use to record your runs? And I was like, I actually don't remember what it was.
Yeah.
And then he was like, use Strava.
Yeah.
And so he kind of got me into everything. But like, there was a reason why I met him. It was only 6 months before that.
Yeah.
But got into cycling, and he was doing tries as well. So we're like, okay, well, let's do Mooloolaba try, which was maybe 4 months away. And so got on the bike, loved the bike, had not gone for a swim since probably primary school. And I was like, well, I'll just try.
Yeah.
Found a free training plan again, started training, and then, did my first try.
What distance was that? Was
Olympic, yeah.
And I'm guessing that was pretty fast for first.
Yeah, well, thankfully, and maybe this was another thing that happened that I was very grateful for, but the surf was really rough. So the swim was cut down to 750 instead of the 1,500 meters.
Yeah.
Made it really easy. And I think it was like a 2 hours and 4 minutes, which is pretty good, but the swim was cut from 750 to
so
to 750.
If you were to do that, maybe I'm just thinking for 750 meters, would you be looking at like 215, 220?
Maybe like a 215,
Yeah, cool. Yeah. But still, that's for a first, that's fast.
Yeah.
That is very, very fast. And then, where this is where I'm heading with this. Where did you go Ironman? Did you do a few beforehand? Did you do a few? You just went, boom, Olympic, Ironman.
Yeah. Basically, I experienced such great empowerment and just everything that came with the Gold Coast Marathon. That was the biggest achievement I've ever accomplished.
Yeah.
Something that was so hard to, at the time.
Yeah.
And just the euphoric, the feelings that you get when you finish. And although I guess the triathlon, the Olympic tri, was not too big of a challenge, it's quite short.
It's fast.
It's fast. And I just remember just looking up, because I never had a coach. So I just look up on YouTube. There's so much amazing material online.
Yeah.
And I just remember like all these Ironman videos popping up. And like they're epic, you know? Awesome, like classical music. Like it's just such an intense like 10 minutes that you kind of just get so pumped up. But then you just realize, oh, it's a 3.8K swim.
Is swimming your weaker?
Yeah. So I've only been swimming for 4 months.
This is one that got me about your Everest-man. You swam in a freshwater lake.
Yeah.
Like fresh.
Yeah. And pitch black.
Yeah. But Rabina Tri has, they've got the sprint distance.
Yeah.
I did that 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I sunk. Remember, I was like 95 kilos.
Yeah.
And I could not. I got I think it was like top 10 swim time.
Yeah.
But because my background is swimming.
Okay.
So I used to compete in swimming quite a bit. Did powerlifting, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But I was heavy. And I'm watching these skinny guys go out and like proper, elite guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm at the back of the pack. And I'm like, okay, cool. Started to make my way up. But the back, I wasn't buoyant. I was just going, on an angle swimming. But I still did a good time. But it was like I got out and that was like my everything. And I could have finished that. Yeah. I'm done.
Yeah, done.
Oh, yeah, fresh water. 8.8K swim in fresh water.
I did have a wetsuit, so it does help. It definitely does help.
Still, So, these videos are coming up and you've gone, this is my thing.
Yeah. And my friend, the same friend, he was like, oh, I'm going to do the Sunshine Coast half Ironman. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, I'll do that. But then I just kept seeing these videos, Ironman after Ironman, all these guys becoming Ironman. You know, the guy at the end saying, you are an Ironman. Oh. And I was like, man, I think this is for me.
Yeah.
Like, this is that thing that's going to just give me that next hard, life lesson.
Yeah.
And I just remember I started to train for it, and I was just speaking to this girl. I won't say who it is, but she was kind of laughing at me because I didn't know what I was doing. And I kind of used that motivation. And I think the next day I just signed up for the Cairns Ironman. I didn't even care.
Like just
yeah. I was like, I'm going to prove you wrong. And I guess once you're locked in, you just got to find a way to kind of make it work. And that was it, basically.
Sign up now, think later.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's putting on the shoes that's the hardest. It's walking out that front door, which is the hardest. The actual run or, whatever you want to do is not as hard as taking that first step.
So in June, I've signed up for that 100 miler that I was talking about. And I'm not even kidding. It's that initial, I've always wanted to do a 100 miler.
Yeah.
That's it. That's for me, Ironman's something that I can go, okay, I just need time to train.
Yeah.
And if I can time to train, I'll finish. I know that's a finisher for me.
Yeah.
But a 100 mile run, 160 kilometer run, that scares the fuck out of me. And I remember I'm sitting there and I'm like, got all my credit card details in. I'm like, do I do it? Like, something, it's like some divine thing. I look up on a screen and it was like an ad and it was talking about just do it. Like it was like something along the lines of you don't know if you try until you try, just do it or something like that. And then how I was angled, I looked straight down and my tattoo's there and saying, for those who don't know, I got a tattoo that says get it done. And I went, oh, fuck. And I just went, yep, confirm. And then it was there. And I was like shaking.
Yeah.
I'm going, that is, that 100 miler is my Ironman essentially. Yeah. And I think, it just comes back to just do hard things. Go do hard. If you're out there listening to this, go do something hard and then come back and then see if you've changed. Now, with the Ironman, was that your first or no? Yeah.
So I did one triathlon, which was in March 2019, I think, or 2020. Don't remember. 2020. Yeah. It was actually the day before we went into the lockdown, the Queensland lockdown. Yeah. And then September was the half Ironman in, I think it was the 14th or 13th, mid-September. Mm-hmm. And Cairns Ironman was meant to be in June, but that got postponed because of COVID. And so the new date was 2 weeks after the half Ironman. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, I can do that. So when I was competing in the Ironman, I did one Olympic triathlon and then also the half Ironman 2 weeks before.
And that was a sub 10?
The Ironman?
The Ironman.
Yeah. 9:57.
That's, again, for those who aren't familiar with that's a very fast time. And I think you podiumed, came top.
Came second in my age group. But at the same time, it was lockdown, so it was only like a Queensland and
Gotcha.
race.
And you qualified for?
Kona,
which is... That's massive. And are you going to be, you're training for that, or are you going to...
I will train for it. It's in October this year.
See, that's something I can't wait to see.
Yeah.
Because, it's a big year ahead.
But it's crazy. My goals kind of changed. Like my goal was just to finish, even just doing that 3.8K before the 180K bike and then a marathon. It doesn't matter if you're sub 10 or you're 14 hours or just finishing is a massive accomplishment. And then the more I trained, the more I put all this dedication and all this drive into the training, I started to figure out and start to realize that actually, it is actually possible. This sub 10 hour, club is possible.
Mm-hmm. Oh, let's see that, that like that in itself just goes to show, as you said, this will be a reoccurring theme. Just keep doing hard things.
Just
show up.
Just try. And
if you fail, you fail. Like
when I started training for the Ironman, I didn't even think a 12-hour Ironman would be possible. But I guess the more you kind of do things, and you do hard things, you do these hard training sessions,
it sets you up for let's hopefully no one ever dies in your life and you have to watch that happen again. But in a way, it sort of sets you up for that, for you to realize, I've been there, done that. I know the pain.
Yeah,
let's do it.
Yeah,
and you're more well equipped to deal with some trauma like that, which is awesome. Now, how are we going for time? I think we're got a bit left. 15. Yeah, cool. So sort of this is where I wanted to head. Now with Rebound Club, where do you want to take it? What's your vision? What's Kent's vision for Rebound? What's Kent's vision for what your purpose is on this planet now? Right, and that all changes over time. But right now, with what you're doing, with these huge accomplishments that you're achieving, what is your purpose right now for the world?
So I guess after the Ironman, I just had this even bigger appreciation for exercise and what it had done for my mental health, what it had done for my confidence and just everything about me. But with that, I just knew that if I kept doing an Ironman and kept doing these crazy challenges for myself, I felt like I had a story to tell. My experiences of seeing my dad, seeing my grandma, that's a powerful story. And so I thought maybe I can just continue to do these kind of exercise, like these hectic endurance challenges and Ironmans and whatever, but to kind of convey my story and to give back to the community. And so the reason Rebound Club started was because after that, I wanted to dedicate my life to kind of giving back to others.
I find being of service to other people is the answer to any bad thing. I reckon.
Well, one thing I did do when my dad passed away that really did help. About like exercise was definitely the biggest help. But I started helping elderly Japanese ladies.
Wow.
Just taking them to the doctors.
Really?
GP, just as a translator. And it wasn't necessarily, they paid me because they weren't going to let me leave without.
I think you're Japanese.
But the actual process of just seeing someone so appreciative of you just giving that 30 minutes to take them to the doctor, that really helped. And
I think that's just a perfect reflection of you as a person. Like
I still do it now.
But see, like you don't tell any. I didn't know that, but you don't.
Not many people know.
But that's the thing. You're doing it because it helps you.
Yeah.
You're not doing it because look at me, I'm helping other people. You don't, and as I said, that's just a reflection of who you are as a person, especially with Rebound Club.
Yeah.
And of course, this Everest-man was, as you said, it was for you. It was to see if you could actually do it. But watching the Instagram videos and the Facebook and all that, seeing the photos and actually seeing that community get together.
Yeah.
Because not so much you as such, but for what you were representing.
Yeah.
This is possible.
Yeah.
But you just need to want it. You need to want it.
Yeah.
And, for you to go help people and not tell anyone, it's like that's who you are as a person. And that I can see is pouring out in Rebound Club.
Yeah.
Where it's not a especially in Gold Coast, there's a lot of fast runners, running clubs. Yeah. Everyone goes go, 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 go. Yeah. Where I look at Rebound and it's just people running because they like
Doesn't
running.
matter
It's
how,
not a
how
piss,
fast
it's not a pissing contest of who's got the fastest pace. It's just people running because they like running. Doesn't matter what age, shape, size. Doesn't matter. Yeah. They're just doing it because and you're leading that. Yeah. And people are attracted to that because they see what you're doing and what you've done. And now people are going to know that you do that with the elderly. Yeah. And that just paints that perfect picture of what Rebound Club and you represent.
Definitely. And like giving back to others is just, I think we're disconnected.
Oh, we've disconnected. Sorry, guys. Are we better?
Sorry, listeners. We're back on.
We're back.
Sorry, guys. It was just like a slow drip of just, kind of really seeing what helping others can do for your own mental health and as you as a person. Yeah. And I think more people need to do it. Like if you're going through something really bad, you're feeling like shit, you feel hopeless, just go help someone and just see how much that you benefit from that.
This is something I do weekly, and I think my partner's the only one that knows this. It is so simple. We get, a Macca's coffee, McDonald's coffee every morning or every second morning. And if someone's behind me, I'll just pay. I'll just pay for their whole entire meal. And it's not in the sense of like I don't care if anything happens. It just makes me feel so happy that they're going to feel happy and go, what? And I don't even have to see the reaction. I already know that, their day is so much more better now, especially in the morning. It has to be morning. Yeah, yeah. That they go, someone just paid for my entire breakfast and I don't know them. and it's not, I love doing that and it makes me feel good. And if I start my morning like that, the rest of my day is good. Yeah. And small things like that, if you're of service of others, I think as a human race, as humans being animals, that's what we're meant to do. Yeah. Like we're again, society now is each for their own. Yeah. Hustle, hustle, hustle. I'm a lone wolf and whatnot. And I don't think that's the way out of this. Yeah. Depression or whatever you want to call this. Well, I guess it's all based on perspective, but right now we're in a slump, especially with coronavirus and all that. And the way out, I think, is, vulnerability, being open and honest and helping one another. You see someone sad, you want to help them. Yeah. And that's not like I want to help them because I want to be known as the person who helped them. You want it because it's an instinct that I think it's built in with any human being that you want to help. Yeah. And I think we're so disconnected from that.
Definitely.
We just, I don't help people all the time, but we're so disconnected from that helping one another as a village or whatever you want to say, a tribe, that we are now in this point, nearly at this point of no return with depression and suicide rates at such a high rate. But it's people like you and me who are, have noticed that, and now we want to give back.
Definitely.
Thus this podcast, thus Rebound Club for you. And it's a beautiful thing. It's hard, and especially starting a business and getting it out there, especially for you. Do you have people that you wouldn't say are runners, or you don't have to mention their names or anything, but do you have people that are struggling and have connected to you guys and gone, this is somewhere where I want to be.
Definitely.
Cool.
And they don't even have to actually say it to me.
Mm.
I can just tell.
It's all in the eyes.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, basically Rebound Club was to give back to others.
Mm-hmm.
And so also, obviously I'm doing a lot of charity events and
Mm-hmm.
trying to give back to the community and, sharing my story, being open, because we're all the same. We all have our own problems.
We're all as fucked up as one another.
Yeah.
We've all got shit going on. And
We're all
that's
the
another
same.
theme, yeah. We, we like to put one another on a pedestal and say they're better than. We're all on an equal playing field.
Yeah.
Some people just play it differently to others.
Yep.
We've all got problems, and we've all got positive things. It's all relative to the person. But look, I think what you're doing and what you represent is so positive throughout the community. Like so positive.
Yeah.
Just to see so many people rock up on a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Because of you.
Yeah.
You've got like how many people roughly per run?
Before the Christmas break, maybe 50, 45. Yeah.
Now
we only started 3 months before that, prior to that.
you did that.
Yeah.
Well, of course you have other people and whatnot, but
There's definitely other people involved, but
if it wasn't for you,
yeah.
and we like to externalize everything, go, to be humble and whatnot. It's not being humble. It's just the facts are, if it wasn't for you, 40, 50 people wouldn't be running.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
There's 100 other things that they could do with their Saturday morning.
But they chose to come run with you and come run with your group.
Yeah.
So I think, this is a nice way to wrap it up. Have you got anything else you wanted to?
Yeah. Well, another thing with the Rebound Club is trying to, obviously, we're giving back to the community, but it's not just me. So I'm trying to show as a leader that, what is possible, what we can do to give back to the community. When I first did that city cycle, the first charity event, it took me a month to bring up the courage to actually...
I've completely forgot about that. I had that written down too.
That's okay.
So just quickly, city cycle, what are they called? It wasn't a line bike.
They were just called the city cycle? No.
Were they? I don't know.
Lipton T-bikes.
Yeah, so you could, you hire these bikes that some companies given out, and you see them on the side of the roads, and Kent decided to Everest on one of those, up a hill and down a hill.
46 times a 2 kilometre hill, 46 times on a 28 kilo commuter bike.
And again, it goes to show what you're capable of.
Yeah.
Which, again...
What all of us are capable of.
No, all of us are capable
Yeah.
of anything we put our minds to. And it sounds cliche, and it sounds, you read it on a motivational poster or something, but it literally is the truth.
Yeah.
You need to want it enough.
Yeah.
And you've got to see yourself finishing it.
Yeah.
And I love it.
And just with that, like the Rebound Club started on that charity event. And the reason was that I'm trying to empower other people to do their own charity events, to give back to their own community. So like if we can kind of grow this platform in the way that, to kind of promote exercise and whatnot, but to also just give people the confidence and that they can make a difference,
I don't think, I think you need to say that for the people in the back. Everybody has the power to make a difference.
Whether it's your McDonald's that you shout every morning or, whenever you do, it doesn't matter. Like every kind gesture and every positive thing that you can do to give back to someone else could be the make or break.
Pays dividends.
Yeah.
To just
to
be
them having a happy life,
Yeah.
It could be, and you just never know how far your investment into someone else can help someone,
100%.
And so we've had, over the last year, we've had countless amount of people throughout the community who have done their own charity events and, raised like, crazy amount of money. And so we just want to grow that in the way that, we're trying to help people who do want to make a change and give them the tools and the network and the real, whatever they need We want to help them do their own charity event.
I think, coming into this year, it wouldn't surprise me if you had a few people that in your group
We got a few.
that
There's something cool coming up,
and already going okay. If there's something in the works, I can't wait to. Just what you're about and these big events and whatnot. If I can help or be a part of it in any way, shape, or form.
Love that.
I'm on. Yeah. I'm so on board. Even if I have to travel to Brizzy, I'm keen.
I just want to mention this one guy who, when we first started Rebound Club, and this was the first person that kind of did a charity event that wasn't me. Mm-hmm. He's 18. I think he's 19 actually. Sorry, Ben. I forgot your age. You've told me like 16 times. But he started running with us. Mm-hmm. He was in the gym a lot, and we started to give him some advice about running and whatnot. And he wanted to do a marathon. And then he saw me do the city cycle thing, and I think just the whole community and everything kind of just got him really empowered to give back by raising money for charity. So he dedicated his first marathon to his next door neighbor, who's 16 years old. He's a really good mate of his who's just going through leukemia, or like a rare form of leukemia. Okay. And he, unfortunately, it was meant to be at the Sunshine Coast Marathon, which got cancelled. So we kind of talked about it, and he was so down because he'd been training for it and he'd been raising all this money. And then we ended up doing it from his next door neighbor's Kurt's house. Yeah. And did a solo marathon.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
And he raised like 16 grand.
Really?
One guy, just 19-year-old, running his first marathon.
Ben?
Yeah, Ben
You're
Ricketts.
A fucking legend.
Absolute legend.
Wow.
And then we had this little after party. His next door neighbor's family was there. Ben's family was there. A few of the Rebound Club guys were there. And it was the most emotional thing that I had experienced. And that is what I did Rebound Club for. That is what I started it for.
It just comes down to being of service and doing hard things. Simple as that. So if you're out there listening now, do hard things and be kind and just help people. Be nice. And on that note, I think is there anything? Is there a message that you want to give the people around you to take this out and I think we'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
What's something that you live by? What's something that you want to tell people that they could live by? Just something to motivate anyone out there that's listening to this right now.
I just say, I'm a living proof, and there's actually a lot of other people that are in the same position, but we are all capable of more than we can possibly imagine. We have this wall of fake limitations that we put on ourselves, and it's us that put it on ourselves. But I just say, just go out and just do something hard. You don't even have to have a race. Just go think of something hard to do and do it, and just find that empowerment and just that feeling. And the more hard things you do, the better you'll be, just in general. Sorry.
No, that's good. It's good. So no, look, I'm really happy that we got to do this today, and hopefully in the next months or later down the year, when these other events that you do come up, we can hopefully sit down again and see where Rebound Club is from what it is now, and just see where you're at, and get it done.
For sure.
Cool. Peace
out.
Bye.